welcome you back to the NCAA Women's College World Series. Presented by Capital One here in Oklahoma City. It is game 3 of 4. A session change, so the fans are just arriving for a tremendous nightcap with star-studded rosters and some of the best players in the country. Stanford, the 8th seed, back here for a second straight year, and top-seeded Texas ready to tangle. 2 games down, 2 to go here on this opening day at Oklahoma City 2024. Stanford and Texas ready to meet up after a couple of games to start the session with some big names getting big hits. Jordan Woolery's tie-breaking 3-run home run off Caleb Beaver in the 6th gave UCLA an opening day win, and Oklahoma gave up the first run and then did what Oklahoma does, scoring the next 9 to set up a dandy of a game in the winner's bracket on Saturday. Oklahoma and UCLA will meet there. Alabama Duke in an elimination game tomorrow. And now for the nightcap. Texas and Stanford now. Florida and Oklahoma State to come after that. We are so thrilled to be back with you at Oklahoma City. Kevin Brown, 2-time All-American, Amanda Scarborough, Alyssa Lang with us as well. The type of games we're going to see tonight and the type of players we're going to see tonight are games and players that deserve to be seen in the semifinals of the Champ Series. We have them on day 1. We have all 3 National Player of the Year finalists in the night session, starting with Nyjah Kennedy of Stanford, the Player of the Year, Reese Atwood of Texas, the best hitter in the country, and a whole lot more than that.
I mean, to think about that, that's a matchup that we get to see right out of the gate in the night session, and then stars all throughout these 2 games. It just makes you go, wow. I mean, this is what the Women's College World Series is all about, and we get these top-notch matchups right out the gate. Stanford and Texas have already played twice this year. Nyjah Kennedy has already pitched against this team. You have the offense of Texas, one of the best in the country, going up against arguably the best pitcher in the country. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing, and Texas has been awesome all year offensively. The #1 seed for the first time in school history for Mike White's Longhorns. Highest win percentage right now in program history for the folks in Burnt Orange. Their first Big 12 regular season championship in 14 years. They dethroned Oklahoma in the regular season and were the first #1 overall seed in program history, scoring more runs than any other Texas team before. They struggled a bit to pitch against Texas A&M. They did not struggle to hit. 20 runs in the Super Regionals, and Reese Atwood, Amanda, in the middle of it all.
National Player of the Year, a top 3 finalist for that award. She didn't win it, but in terms of being the best hitter, it's Reese Atwood. And the numbers that she has put up this year, 23 home runs, 90 RBI, essentially double from her freshman year, and maybe the best hitter, season for a hitter ever in Texas history.
She's 2 RBIs shy of the Big 12 record. We could spend the next 20 minutes just talking about Reese Atwood's season. We could also do that about Nyjah Kennedy's season. She defeated Reese Atwood to win the National Player of the Year.
I mean, what else can we say about Nyjah Kennedy? National Player of the Year as a sophomore, National Freshman of the Year last year. Such a low ERA, below 1, over 300 strikeouts. We saw her here on this stage as a freshman, and she dominated, got tons of swings and misses with her rise ball. She is even better and more prepared for the World Series this year.
That's just a little taste of what's to come in the bottom of the first inning when Texas's offense will bat against Kennedy. But for now, it is Stanford to start. The Cardinal, the 8th seed, and their starting lineup brought to you by Capital One. 8 lefties in the lineup. The only right-hander is their big power hitter, Ali Kaneshiro, who was a real presence for Stanford at the World Series last year. They are back for the 2nd consecutive year and the 4th time. The Stanford Cardinal World Series semifinalists a year ago, the Texas Longhorns World Series finalist 2 years ago. And away we go with a freshman, Tegan Cavan, getting the ball for Texas. And her first pitch of the World Series is a strike at 6:12 local here on a gorgeous night in Oklahoma City. Cavan, the Game 2 starter, the Game 3 closer for the Longhorns in the Super Regional last weekend. And she begins with a ball and a strike to Taryn Kern. Stanford 48-15, 17-7 in the Pac-12, and they added Taryn Kern out of the transfer portal, the 2nd transfer in Stanford softball history. And this is what Kern does. She takes pitches with an on-base percentage north of 500. Here are the numbers for Kern, an All-American at Indiana a season ago.
Tegan Gavon, the freshman, likes to throw that rise ball, and Stanford as a team just hitting 205 off of the rise ball. Just a freshman, and Tegan Gavon going to have to work through some nerves. Every game that she has pitched this postseason has been the biggest game that she's ever pitched in.
Here's her 2-2. Kern finally swings, and she misses. A rise ball for a strikeout begins Tegan Gavon's World Series.
She loves to expand the zone with her rise ball. She can throw it on multiple levels. She can throw it through the zone and out of the zone, and then mix in that changeup, that rise and her changeup, a pitch that she learned this year with head coach Mike White, is why she has been so tough to hit as a freshman. Up in the zone is where she gets her most swings and misses with her rise.
Working on Kira Chan. That pitch deemed to be out of the zone by Steve Gold, tonight's plate umpire. Jim Bertuzzi, Cameron Ellison, and Chad Steers around the bases from first to third. Chan, another part of this special sophomore class for Stanford, set a nice NCAA tournament. 318 with an OPS of 830 as she takes ball 2. And we had a session change here. We had a Session 1 attendance record, Oklahoma and Duke, after UCLA, Alabama. Here's a fly ball to the left from Chan. Bella Dayton drifting into foul territory, puts it away. So don't be alarmed that you see some empty seats right now, because we had an attendance record in the first session. But the first session started a little bit late because of some rain and lightning in the area. So fans are still piling in now. They are streaming down the aisles. They are heading for the bleachers, and this place is going to be jam-packed pretty soon. Freshman Ava Gall chases the first pitch she sees from Gavon for strike 1.
Stanford is going to have to deal with that pitch all night long with Gavon in the circle. She throws her rise ball 79% of the time. That's the pitch she goes to.
Gall chased it again.
And if you're Tegan Gavon, this is exactly what you want to see in the first couple of hitters in your first World Series game. Hitters chasing that pitch, that's going to help you get comfortable very fast.
She struck out Gall twice when they faced off in the regular season, and she gets a ground ball here through the box, a base hit. The freshman Ava Gall makes the adjustment after swinging through a couple of rise balls for Stanford's first hit.
So the pitch before that Ava Gall swung at was a pitch that is out of the zone, and even on the first pitch of the at-bat, she helped her out. It was about at her eyes that she chased, so no need for Gavon to bring down her rise ball to this location with 2 strikes. That is a missed pitch, a mistake. Just a freshman mistake for Gavon out there in the circle, and a freshman took advantage of it at the plate.
Cool. And now she throws one up and away that sneaks off the glove of Reese Atwood. Ball 1 to Ali Kaneshiro, and it's a pass ball against Atwood, her 3rd of the year.
This is a changeup that she holds on to, and you can tell it. Reese Atwood is setting up low and in. That pitch moves up and away, and it's a different speed. Crossed up a bit here with Atwood and the freshman Gavon.
And with Gall at second, Jessica Allister, Stanford head coach, is going to go to her bench for the first time and summon a pinch runner. This will be Kylie Buckley, the freshman, who takes over for Gall in scoring position.
Pinch running for Stanford, number 16, Kylie Buckley.
The former Stanford catcher, who was a player, the first 2 Cardinal World Series teams. Jessica Allister, now a head coach for the next 2. And the former Stanford catcher watches the current one. Ali Kaneshiro, the senior from Santa Clarita, will get to end her career sometime over the next week, plus on the dirt in Oklahoma City. Strike 1 to Kaneshiro, who's making her 27th career start in the NCAA tournament, and leads the Cardinal with those 11 home runs.
Let's see a big swing and miss there for one of those lower rise balls on the outer half from Gavon. Sure, her heart is just beating like crazy out in the circle right now.
Another 2-strike, 2-out pitch, and Kaneshiro flicks it foul. Well, Tegan Kavan last weekend struggled against Texas A&M in the Austin Super Regional. To be fair, every Texas pitcher struggled against a game A&M team. We're seeing a little more ferocity and some more swing and miss stuff already with that rise ball. Got the final out of that Super Regional in a 1-run game with 2 on a changeup. Kaneshiro drills it foul. She was all over that pitch, but a little in front.
Yeah, that was a pitch that was a mistake down the heart of the plate, and Kaneshiro, a senior, the home run leader on this team, just recognizes it and puts one of her best swings, but just foul.
7th pitch coming. And there's a changeup to end the inning. Tegan Kavan puts a 0 on the board in her first appearance at the World Series.
You mentioned the pitch that ended the Super Regional against Texas A&M. It was a changeup like this. This is a pitch that she can throw at will when she is on, and this is a pitch that gets her out of her first inning pitched at the Women's College World Series.
There's the scene from atop Devon Park here in Oklahoma City, formerly Hall of Fame Stadium, with a new name this year. Our Capital One starting lineups for the Texas Longhorns. Number 1 seed for the first time, 52-8. It is an extraordinary lineup, 300 hitters, lots of power, lots of walks all over, and Reese Atwood 2 RBIs away from Tiare Jennings' single-season Big 12 record. The big bat looming forth for Texas, a National Player of the Year finalist. And the big right arm of Nigeri Kennedy looming in the circle, the National Player of the Year in her second college season.
Kennedy is electric, mostly because of her rise ball and her speed that she throws it with. So she'll bring her rise ball 73, 74 miles an hour and then drop in a changeup at 55. But that rise ball she can locate on both sides of the plate and expand the zone, as well as mix in that curveball to get righties to chase that pitch well off the plate. The best ERA in Division I, the most strikeouts in Division I. When you watch her pitch, you just kind of stop in awe.
It's the best pitcher against the best lineup in softball. Here we go. Bella Dayton moved into the leadoff spot today. She takes one low. Dayton was batting 9th for Mike White's team the last 20 games. She had a great Super Regional, and Mike White pushes her back to the top where she was to start the year. 2-0 from Kennedy to Dayton. Texas begins with 3 lefties, Dayton, Mia Scott, and Vivi Martinez. Longhorns amazingly only with 1 All-American despite a crazy deep lineup. And Dayton has to dance out of the way of one up and in as Kennedy does not have her command to start. The senior they call postseason Bella takes the game's first strike from Kennedy, 3-1. Texas second in the nation, 8.1 runs per game. Mike White's team only behind Miami of Ohio in that metric. Second best on base percentage in the country. And Nigeri Kennedy has seen this team once in a Stanford win in Austin. February the 24th, 8 innings, gave up 3 runs, struck out 11 as the Cardinal won 4-3. Payoff pitch. Dayton takes strike 3.
Great job by Nigeri Kennedy to get back into that count. She fell behind 3-0 and showed a bit of lack of command, but the 3-1 got her back into it, and then this rise ball low and away to Dayton that she just takes, thinking that she was going to work a walk here. Instead, it's a looking K for Kennedy.
The 311th strikeout of her superlative sophomore season. That one zipped into Mia Scott. A back-to-back first-team All Big 12 selection, Mia Scott. OPS of 1,200 in the postseason. Scott golfs one into shallow left field, and she's retired by Kira Chan. So Vivi Martinez will bat for Texas. Reese Atwood is the big star, but Vivi Martinez maybe having the best NCAA tournament of any Texas hitter. She's been on base 16 out of her 25 plate appearances, and if she gets on here, it'll give Reese Atwood a first inning opportunity. Martinez on the ground to second. Kennedy Atwood, round one, will have to wait for the second. It's a 1-2-3 first for the player of the year. The Stanford Cardinal are back to the Women's College World Series. It's their fourth time there, and it's been a long, long time. Or at least it was before last year. Jessica Allister, a player with a card from 2001 to 2004, made the World Series as a freshman and a senior. Stanford was down in the dust before she got there, but 5 tournaments in 6 years. They hosted a regional and a super regional. First time they've done that in 15 years. And for the first time, Stanford goes back-to-back at the Women's College World Series on the heels of a 47-14 regular season, begging pardon, a 48-15 overall record, 17 wins in the Pac-12. And it wasn't just the Pac-12. Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, LSU, a really difficult non-conference for Stanford, preparing themselves for the postseason. Got a top 8 seed with that tough non-conference. They went 7-1 in Pac-12 series. Remember, Stanford before Jessica Allister got here was 4-68 in 3 years in the Pac-12. The 3 years before Jessica Allister came from Minnesota. That ball popped up Kaylin Koch, and that will get out of play for strike 2. Simply put, Amanda, we've seen one of the best coaching jobs in the country over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and she gets to do it at her alma mater, and I mean, she would be a passionate coach anywhere that she went, but it's just even more special when you get to coach at the place that you play at and put on the same colors and that same logo of the place that you love so much and spent so much time playing at.
Our own Jessica Mendoza said, Stanford alum that she is, there's not a better person who embodies and understands what it takes to be a Cardinal. Stanford, a World Series semifinalist. They've gone 2-2 each of their 3 trips to the World Series. A couple of shutout wins last year over Alabama and Washington. Kaylin Koch waits back on that off-speed pitch from Tegan Kavan and flies out to Caden Henry in center.
Well, and this is a different team, a different roster. They had a different journey to get here to the Women's College World Series than what they went through last year, where she was like, we trailed like one time before we got to the World Series. No elimination games, and this year they've had elimination games at both regionals and super regionals to get here back against the wall, and has been through a little bit more adversity than what the journey was to get here last year was like.
With a pretty young team, too. Jade Berry, one of the 2 freshmen in the starting lineup, takes ball 1 from Kavan. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. Some of the sophomores played a lot last year. Some really had bit parts.
Well, and I like how she told us, too, about this youthful energy that is on this team, and that this is a group, she's getting recruits now that came to compete for championships at Stanford, and that energy has been earned, but it's also been built by her and her coaching staff to get Stanford back to Oklahoma City, and now here back-to-back years expecting to win a national championship.
We talked to several players yesterday, including River Mailer, including Nyjah Kennedy, who had a very similar message that they got here last year early in their careers and figured, oh, this should be easy. And then they quickly found out in postseason play this year it would not be easy. They lost 8-1 to Cal State Fullerton on regional final Sunday. They lost 11-1 to LSU in game 1 of the super regionals. But they turned it around in both cases. 3-0 in elimination games, and they are back in Oklahoma City. In many cases a year wiser with some freshman energy, and the freshman Berry has the game's first walk. One out base runner for the Cardinal.
I think, Kevin, there are a lot of teams who make it look like it's easy to get here to Oklahoma City and compete in the Women's College World Series, but it is not. And even the teams that have made it here back to back to back years, they'll tell you how hard it is to get here and how much it means to them. Despite being here last year or several years in a row, it is so difficult to get to play here.
Here's one of those sophomores, River Mailer. Strike one from Kavan. Mailer has taken a big step forward in the postseason this year. Last season was 1 for 20, 7 walks in the tournament. Mailer lays down a bunt here. Kavan fields it, throws low to Katie Stewart. Sacrifice bunt moves Barry to second, but there are 2 outs.
This is just such good barrel control by River Mailer and understanding her role and what her job is to execute this bunt. Look at how high this pitch is, but she still gets the top half of the ball to get on top of it. That is a rise ball that most people are going to pull their barrel back on or pop up, but not River Mailer with her barrel control.
Ball. Now, normally you wouldn't bunt to get to the 8-hitter with 2 outs. Emily Jones, however, is no ordinary 8-hitter. She struggled in the tournament, but she leads Stanford in batting average at .337. Her on-base percentage of .396, second. Jones, a first-team All-Pac-12 selection. 61 hits led the Cardinal. Barry at second, hoping to be the game's opening run. And that ball driven to right center field. Henry got a good jump. The wind held it up. So no score through an inning and a half. The best hitter in the country, the best pitcher in the country, Atwood and Kennedy coming up. Sometimes it's for great players matching up, and sometimes you're lucky enough to get 2 of the faces of the sport head to head. Reese Atwood on the left, the only hitter to be a finalist for National Player of the Year. Nigel Kennedy on the right, the winner of National Player of the Year. .65 ERA against 90 RBIs. Those both lead the nation. 310 strikeouts against 23 home runs, a single season Texas record. Batters against Kennedy, 142. Pitchers against Atwood, giving up an average to the tune of 435. It's great versus great. Potentially historic versus historic. And Nigel Kennedy and Reese Atwood settle in for their first meeting at the Women's College World Series. And Atwood is first pitch swinging. This is the second time Atwood and Kennedy have met this year. Reese, a National Player of the Year finalist, had some success against Nigel. Nigel had some success against her back in Austin in February. I had tight for ball 1.
It's the type of matchup that is just must-watch TV. And it was even this way all the way back in February. And with the seasons that both of these players have had, it just kind of makes it even better.
Atwood swings, sends one down the line and left, and out of play for strike 2. But here is what happened in February down in Austin.
Nigel Kennedy ended up giving up a home run to Reese Atwood, so she had one at bat, and then Nigel had an at bat with the changeup that she has thrown more this year. So home run on a rise ball, strikeout on a changeup. These two last met.
Reese was 1 for 4 in the game, struck out twice. He's in a 1-2 hole right now. Ball. Now, one of those strikeouts was on a pitch clock violation against Atwood, which some of the Texas folks are still a little perturbed about. But it's the only game this season where Atwood has struck out multiple times. Just 17 strikeouts for her in 60 games. 2-2 from Kennedy. And she blows her away. Round 1 goes to Nigel.
Let's take a look at the pitch sequence of Kennedy versus Atwood. Round one goes up and in. She fouls it off. She's a little bit behind that pitch. Takes a rise ball out of the zone to get to this pitch that was sweeter. Fouls it off. A good foul ball. Take there with the curve and then ends up chasing that rise ball well out of the zone. That rise ball is a pitch that Reese Atwood can punish, but it's also a pitch that she likes to chase and actually the pitch that she swings and misses the most out of the zone.
It's only the second strikeout of the postseason for Reese Atwood. It is the 56th strikeout of the postseason for Nigel Kennedy. That one in on the fist of Katie Stewart. And the velocity numbers are starting to get scary right now for Kennedy. 1 ball, 1 strike to the freshman Stewart. Stewart, a freshman RBI record for Texas, 53. That's behind second base from Stewart. And the shortstop, River Mailer, retires her. 5 up, 5 down for Nigel Kennedy. The National Player of the Year in the NFCA. Of course, that means she was the Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year, first team All-American. She was also the pitcher on the Pac-12 All-Defensive Team, Nigel Kennedy. She is a sensational athlete. Jolie Mitchell. Ball.
And she has the perfect mentality. Even her pitching coach, Tori Nyberg, said she has the perfect mentality for a pitcher. Couldn't ask for better. So you think about her speed and the movement of her rise ball and that changeup, but it's mentality to go behind her stuff that makes her the National Player of the Year.
Quick visit here from Tori Nyberg after ball 1 to Jolie Mitchell. Stanford pitching coach in her 7th year, came over with Jessica Allister.
And you think about the different role, too, that Nigel Kennedy has had this year. Reagan Krause has taken a good amount of innings in the Stanford staff, but just has felt a little bit different than having Elena Vaughter pitch back behind her with her drop ball. Vaughter being an All-American, transferred to South Carolina after the season last year. And Vaughter and Kennedy were one of the toughest 1-2 punches there were all across the nation. But not having Vaughter, it's felt a little bit different for Kennedy this year, getting all the big games.
1-1-2 Mitchell. Jolie was terrific for Texas in the Super Regional, and she's been terrific throughout this postseason. 7 for 16, 2 homers, 4 walks. Another 2-strike count for Nigel Kennedy. Her first 2 of these have ended in a strikeout. Mitchell, a 4-year member of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, first team All-ACC. Her last year in Texas has been perhaps her best. Chases one high and gets a piece. Starting to see consistently 70+ from Nigel Kennedy, who has been one of the hardest throwers we've ever seen. Leading the nation in ERA back-to-back seasons. She's the first pitcher to do that since 2007 and 2008. Angela Tincher of Virginia Tech. From .57 last year to .52. And a changeup locks up Mitchell. 2 more strikeouts in the inning, the first against the nation's most fearsome hitter.
Went to that rise ball that is 70+ miles an hour, well out of the strike zone, but those are the types of strikeouts against the best hitters that Nigel Kennedy can have.
Now we're starting to see a much fuller house after the session change. Took a little time to get the fans back in to Devitt Park in Oklahoma City, where UCLA has reigned supreme with 12 titles. The Sooners start to creep up on them 7 times, 3 in a row. Florida and Alabama national champions are in the field as well, which means half the field is seeking its first championship, including 3 of the 4 teams we'll see tonight. Oklahoma State and Florida, the 5 and the 4 seeds, will follow our game on the day where UCLA and Oklahoma, those 19 combined national championships, have already won. Caitlin Lim, the number 9 hitter for Stanford, takes a strike from Tegan Cavan. Cavan, her first appearance on the World Series stage, has allowed a hit and a walk, struck out 2. And Lim, a little tapper back toward third. Mia Scott throws her out. So Stanford's tried to play small ball a couple of times against Tegan Cavan, and they don't have much to show for it.
And first time through the order, Tegan Cavan had 6 swings and misses, so a good sign for her, especially, Kevin, when you go back to that super regional and think about how much contact there was off of her in terms of balls put in play, foul balls, hits off of her. You can tell she's really feeling good with that rise ball and a little mix of the changeup the first time through.
Yeah, that's super regional against A&M. She had just 8 swings and misses, 125 pitches. So 6 in the first 2 innings and 32 pitches tonight. Taryn Curran, one of those strikeouts the first time through. And an 0-2 count on Curran, who is as patient as it comes. She told us that the joke when she played travel softball with her teammates was that she was better hitter with 2 strikes. It's not always a joke. She says, I like to see the pitcher's best stuff, and I figure by the time it gets to 2 strikes, I've seen it all. There's nothing they can blow by me. She gets a piece of this 2-strike pitch from Cavan.
And she gets right on top of the plate, too. That's something that she said happened a little bit more as a freshman in college, not something that she had always done in travel ball, but she has always worked the count.
She is 3rd in the nation in times being hit by a pitch, 22. 55 walks, 7th in the nation in walks per game. She's also struck out 49 times. Ball. A lot of those strikeouts are looking, though, in the first inning. It was her first swing and miss at the NCAA tournament. The rise ball, strike 3 from Cavan. Fifth pitch to her here, and Kurt takes it in the dirt. She's 3 for 17 in the tournament, but her on-base percentage is just shy of 500. 7 walks, hit by 3 pitches. 2 of the 3 hits are triples, so her OPS in the tournament's over 900. Curran with a high fly ball, blasted into right field, but she just got under it. Maloney on the warning track is there, and it's a long, loud, harmless fly ball induced by Cavan.
I think Stanford's had some good swings off of Cavan like that, and then a deep fly ball that Emily Jones hit as well.
Might not be the most ideal conditions for fly ball hitters either. It has been a windy day, and the wind is headed toward us. Ball. Ball 1 to Kira Chan. Third team all Pac-12 sophomore Chan. Ball.
Kevin, a lot of young rise ball pitchers that we have in the night session. We have Cavan throwing a rise and change, Kennedy, a freshman and a sophomore. We'll have Rothrock tonight, likely going to get the start for Florida, rise ball pitcher. And you have Kilfoyle, who's likely going to get the start for Oklahoma State. That is more of a drop ball pitcher, but that rise ball with some young, talented pitchers is really working for them. Like Cavan, the way that she throws it has a little bit more spin on it, not as much velocity as Kennedy.
Ball. Is that what makes it special for Cavan, the spin on the pitch?
It's a spin, really tight spin. That's a pitch that she learned with her pitching coach, Bill Hillhouse, when she was growing up. Really mastered that spin. going from more bullet spin to true backward rotation on that pitch.
That's outside. Second walk of the game handed out by Kavan, and Chan is a 2-out Stanford base runner.
She'll throw that rise ball 79% of the time, and the changeup 16% of the time. That changeup was a pitch that she learned with Coach White. She told us too that he has really taught her about just how important every single pitch is, and being able, the true value of an off-speed pitch, to mix that in with her rise.
Chad Steer says that Ava Galt did offer at that pitch strike one on the rise. Ball was Stanford's only base hit. Swung through 2 rise balls up near her head, then got one a little lower, knocked it up the middle. Ball and another rise ball. This one's taken.
Rise ball has always been her best pitch, but when you add that changeup to it, and now she has a second pitch that she can get hitters to chase and also locate that pitch through the zone, I mean, it's tough to go up against her when that pitch is on.
Here's the bread and butter for strike 2. Freshman versus freshman on the World Series stage. Tegan Kavan coming to Texas out of West Des Moines, Iowa. Her Texas debut, 5 innings and a big one over UCLA, which led the greatest pitcher in Texas history, Cat Osterman, to say, and I quote, "Kavan is it." Big 12 Freshman of the Year, ready to throw her 50th pitch. And there's that changeup again. She does not get the call.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit off the plate. Great call by her home plate umpire. Satwich trying to work with her to get that pitch called, a changeup that was almost it.
Steve Gould behind the plate. And there's a swing from Galt. Couldn't hold up on a rise. A strikeout in every inning for Kavan. 3-3. Nyjah Kennedy's got 3-2. The National Player of the Year has been perfect. We'll see what she can do to the bottom of the Longhorns lineup next.
Welcome back to the Women's College World Series scoreless as we head into the bottom of the third. Nyjah Kennedy back out into the circle for this Stanford team. And Nyjah has been a competitor ever since childhood. It really runs in the family. But even before she stepped in the circle as a pitcher, she competed in a number of sports, most specifically tackle football, where she was an offensive guard. Yes, you're hearing me right. Full pads. Dad convinced her to play. Dad actually told Mom, "Hey, Mom, it's flag football. Don't worry about it." Mom shows up, sees that it's not flag football, gets a little bit upset. We said, "Well, Nyjah, when did she start to warm up to the idea of you being an O-lineman and tackling people?" She said, "Well, once she saw that I wasn't getting hurt and I was doing the hurting, that she was okay with it." She played for 3 years, guys, eventually, obviously, focusing her efforts on becoming one of the best softball pitchers in the country. But that competitive spirit between basketball, tackle football, and here at the Women's College World Series has lived on and really feeds her teammates out here.
It is such a cool story, Alyssa, and those are amazing, amazing photos of Nyjah, who we knew was a great basketball star in high school. Thought about pursuing that collegiately for a little while. Ended up giving it up her senior year to pursue softball, but we didn't know until talking to her the other day how serious she was about football. Her brother BJ Kennedy plays for Cal, and said when she was young that young football coach liked BJ, but he also wanted Nyjah on the team, so they played together.
And they're competitive, that family, with her dad, Bruce, and her brother, BJ. Very competitive, no matter what sport it is. They want to win.
A bunt from Henry to third. There's the first Texas base runner. Caden Henry, the freshman, with a bunt base hit.
Caden Kaden Henry is special because she can hit for power, but then she can lay down a bunt like this. She is so fast. As soon as she saw that ball down, she took a step and she was at her fastest speed, getting the top half of that rise ball to be able to lay a perfect bunt down out in no man's land. Nobody can make a play on that.
Think of a base runner at first right now for Texas and Henry. Alyssa Washington, and the Texas captain takes strike one. If you've been watching Texas all season, you've gotten used to the C on the uniform. If this is your first time, Alyssa Washington right there, the first captain under Mike White, the first player to be named captain in Texas softball history. That one gets away from Kennedy, off the glove of Kaneshiro, and Henry darts to second. So a bunt base hit and a wild pitch, and the Longhorns have a runner in scoring position to start the third.
Look at how Kaneshiro tries to catch this. This is the definition of a cross-up, and that pitch is just really uncatchable with the speed and the mislocation from Nyjah Kennedy there that King Henry easily going to get to second.
Washington squares again, lays it down at third again, and the captain gets the job done. Successful sacrifice for Alyssa Washington, and the game's first run is hanging out at third with one out. The third sacrifice bunt of the year for Washington, and it sets up the sophomore Ashton Maloney.
Right fielder number 7, Ashton Maloney.
Maloney had been Texas's leadoff hitter in the previous 20 games. They were 18-2. At a tough super regional back in the 9th spot. She has only struck out 9 times this year. Texas has been exceptional converting base runners this year. Trying to bring in the first one, the #1 team in the World Series. Ball 2.
I think this 9-hole 2 is a spot for Ashton Maloney where she just feels her best. Oftentimes overlooked throughout the first couple of years in her career because she is in that 9-hole, but quietly batting the upper 300s, low 400s at times.
Maloney has Texas's best 2-strike batting average. Runners in scoring position, 3/4 of her batted balls are ground balls. Just trying to put something in the dirt, push across Henry. And she'll take one nearly in the dirt.
I feel too that Nyjah Kennedy is just missing a little bit more than I think what we're used to. Seeing a pitch somewhat fall out of her hand like that. The ball that hit off of the glove of Kaneshiro that advanced Kaden Henry.
3-2, slapped to third. That is off the glove of Berry. It is a fair ball. Even though the ball landed in foul territory, it hit the glove of Berry fair, and the Longhorns have them at the corners.
Great barrel control here by Ashton Maloney to get the top half of the ball to create more of a line drive. That ball was well struck with 2 strikes and ended up actually getting more so at the bottom half, but she hit that well. Good contact by Maloney with 2 strikes to turn over the order for Texas.
It's a base hit for Maloney out of the glove of Berry. And here's Bella Dayton, 2 on, 1 out. Nobody's going to cover second. Maloney takes it uncontested, erasing the force there. Kaden Henry leads the Big 12 in steals, and with her speed at third, Stanford was not going to throw through. So second and third, here comes Tori Nyberg again.
Great time for a timeout with Texas threatening here, and especially when you think of the way that Tegan Cavan has thrown so far in this game, you just feel like every run is going to be so important. Every pitch call is critical to try to attempt to get outs here, top of the Texas order.
Well, the Women's College World Series Finals begins in 6 days, Wednesday, June 5th. For more information, go to ncaa.com. You're home for all 90 NCAA championships. Winner of this game gets a huge leg up. 34 of the 40 national champions have started the World Series 2-0. 77% of the finalists have started the World Series 2-0. Only 4 teams in more than 4 decades have lost on day one and won the national championship. Second and third, one out. Bella Dayton with a pop-up. That is going to get out of play and into the hands of a Texas fan. Oh no, it's a Tennessee fan. It's a different shade of orange.
Gotcha.
Booked his tickets early, unfortunately for him, but he's still enjoying some great softball.
And then you have the OSU orange behind him, too.
Ball. He's just making it feel more like a home game for the Texas players. They don't care what shade of orange is on their side. 2-1 to Dayton. Texas trying to break through against the National Player of the Year. And Bella hits a ground ball that sneaks towards second. It's backhanded by Kern. 1 run is in. Maloney, however, is tagged out at third. Texas does take the lead, though. Bella Dayton with an RBI single off of Nyjah Kennedy, and number 1 Texas has the game's first run.
Texas using their short game and their speed in this inning. What a play by Taryn Kern to keep that ball on the dirt and then to be able to get Ashton Maloney with the perfect throw from Kaneshiro. Heads up defense by Stanford to be able to get that important second out. I mean, the play by Taryn Kern at second base was almost like she was catching and diving it for a pop fly back behind her. That throw made the tag at third base. That is a critical play for Stanford defense with where Texas is at in their order.
So runner at second as Dayton went to second on the throw to third. It's an RBI single. And ball 1 to Mia Scott. Off the bat, I thought for sure that was headed to center field. That, we'll see, that could be a game-saving play by Kern. Long way to go, but a big out to get. Right side, Scott. That one Kern cannot get to. Lim's throw to the plate is in time. And Dayton is called out, and Mike White is not going to even think about this. He's calling for a challenge immediately, and he is very frustrated. He has to call for a challenge. He's challenging.
Texas is challenging the out call at home plate. Previous play is under review.
Well, the last time we saw Stanford in Game 3 of the Supers, there were about 100 plays at the plate. Here's another.
I thought her hand got there live, and I think that this one is going to be overturned. It was a great throw, great catch, but Bella Dayton does get her hand to the backside of home plate there. I think this one will be overturned, and it should be Texas's second run.
Going to wipe out what would have been Caitlin Lim's 4th outfield assist. And Texas, it appears, is going to get that second run after all. Waiting for Cameron Ellison to get the call from our replay review room. Texas 4 for 4 with a sac bunt in the inning off Kennedy.
After further review, the call on the field has changed. The runner is safe.
And it's an RBI single for Mia
Texas'
Scott.
first challenge.
Longhorns get a couple. They do push that second run across against Nyjah Kennedy.
Now batting shortstop, number 23.
Bella Dayton going to the backside of home plate, just getting her hand in there, knowing that she was going to score right off the bat from second base.
Mia Scott has had a monstrous NCAA tournament, a monstrous junior season. She made it to second on the throw home. Here's Vivi Martinez, sixth batter of the inning. Only 2 outs Texas has made in the inning. A sacrifice bunt giving away an out. And then Maloney getting picked off at third on the base hit by Dayton. So these have been 5 consecutive quality at-bats against the nation's most fearsome pitcher. Popped up by Martinez. And the left fielder Chan makes the play. Texas strikes first. Perhaps the best offense in the country takes down the best pitcher in the country. Their head coach Mike White fired up.
Lead on Stanford as we're joined now by Texas head coach Mike White. Coach, with Tegan Cavan back in the circle, what do you make of the start and what'd you say to her before this one?
Well, we needed to shut somebody out in the first couple of innings and we're able to do that. I think she controlled it pretty well. Obviously, had a couple of base runners on, the walk and a hit, but overall she's doing pretty good.
Looking at what Nyjah Kennedy has thrown at your hitters so far, how have they been able to adjust to get those runs on the board?
Well, we just got to get the ball in play, get on top of it. You know, we started to chase a little bit early on there, but, you know, she's a great pitcher and it's tough sometimes.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Hook 'em.
That's the Big 12 Coach of the Year, Mike White. That's the Big 12 Freshman of the Year, Tegan Cavan. That's the #1 team in the country. Texas with a 2-0 lead, 3 hits with runners in scoring position, and Cavan has thrown a gem so far in her World Series debut.
Yeah, I think that she's looked great. I mean, if she's feeling nervous, I don't think that it's really shown in her outing up to this point. And a lot of swings and misses with that rise ball and working that changeup. That's surprising them that they're taking.
First pitch popped up. Ali Kaneshiro, Katie Stewart, and foul territory puts her away. And Tegan Cavan has retired the leadoff batter in all 4 innings. Well, Mike White said to us yesterday, he hopes his pitchers learned from last weekend to isolate the nerves a little bit. Felt like Texas A&M was very well prepared for them, and his pitchers were a little bit nervous maybe. Ball. Texas set attendance records in its stadium. Texas fell behind first in all 3 games. The Longhorns only led at the end of 7 of the 23 innings. They were constantly clawing back in that Super Regional. Gave them Monday fully off after that tough series. Took a short flight here Tuesday, and it felt like he loved the response he had seen from his players yesterday with all the youth on this team. They have looked like, frankly, they've been here before, and most of them have not.
Well, and that's his team. His past couple of recruiting classes with sophomores and freshmen have just been top-of-the-line athletes that can swing it, that can pitch, that can make crazy good plays on defense. The sophomore class that were freshmen last year made a tremendous impact. And then you think about the freshmen that have come in here this year, and this team's pretty young. Both Stanford and Texas are fairly young.
Martinez, one of 11 players that are sophomores or freshmen on the roster. Cavan, a freshman. Only 5 seniors for the Longhorns. Everyone to Kaylin Koch is in there.
But those seniors have a lot of experience from 2022 and playing in the Champ Series. This team fell short last year in the Super Regional, and that, I think, was a big motivation for them coming into this year, was to not lose in Supers again.
Kaylin Koch, little flare to second. Washington puts her away. Two down for Jade Berry.
Now batting third baseman, number 10, Jade Berry.
That's out in the direction of Vivi Martinez, but over her head from Jade Berry.
Like, I was so excited about the foul ball. Chasing after it, hand right up, hand is still up when he sits down too. Pumped to get a foul ball at the World Series.
What's better than a foul ball at the World Series? Maybe a home run ball at the World Series. Saw a bunch of those in the first two. Barry, the Stanford third baseman, and Martinez, the Texas shortstop, actually have a connection we discovered yesterday. They were national champions in flag football. There they are, Vivi and Jade, former teammates. One of the many connections in this super small world that is college softball.
And it is very small. Everybody knows everybody.
Vivi said that she was a quarterback a couple of times, but mostly stuck to wide receiver. Jade Berry was a great receiver as well. 8th grade, they were back-to-back national champions in flag football. So we had Nigel Kennedy, who was an offensive lineman playing tackle football. There's Martinez and Barry, who played flag football, which is a good message to any kids watching. If you want to be a great softball player, play softball, but play everything.
As many sports as you can.
Barry couldn't hold up. There's another strikeout. And the first 1-2-3 inning of the night for the fearless freshman Kavan.
They're throwing it around, but that was out number 3, and Kavan gets her 4th strikeout with this changeup. Opponents are chasing this pitch 33% of the time, well located in the dirt.
By Jessica Allister. Coach, talking about Nyjah and what you've seen from her so far. Coach Nyberg went out to the circle to meet with her a couple times. What's been the message to her throughout the night?
Yeah, I think just continuing to pitch her game, pitch aggressively, throw to good lanes, change speeds when needed, and just, be aggressive in the circle.
What have you told your hitters to try to bring some runs across here?
Yeah, I think we're actually, we had some at-bats that inning that weren't as good, but I think early on we've had some pretty good at-bats, got some pretty good barrel, and we just need to stick with it. There's a lot of game left, and the last thing we need to do is panic. Instead, make decisions on pitches and try to get a good swing off on a good pitch.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Melissa, thank you. And here we go for round 2 between Reese Atwood and Nyjah Kennedy. Here's what happened in the first.
Yeah, going back to the second inning, Reese Atwood led off the inning there too, and she chased a rise ball well out of the strike zone. Those are the types of swing and misses on that rise ball that Nyjah Kennedy can get even against the best hitters.
One of only 3 swings and misses tonight for Nyjah Kennedy. We really struggled the third inning. Texas had 4 hits and a sacrifice bunt and 6 batters, 2 runs against a pitcher who leads the nation with a 0.65 ERA. 2 runs is a veritable monsoon. 2-0 for Reese Atwood. Nyjah Kennedy won the National Player of the Year, and we asked her about it. She said, "I was surprised. I thought it was going to be Reese." The other finalist, Lexi Kilfoyle, will see her tonight for Oklahoma State. Ball.
Almost a curveball that paints the corner there, but the numbers for Reese Atwood against the rise ball this season are eye-popping, hitting over 500, and her slugging percentage over 1,800. Swings and misses at that pitch 30% of the time, so it's kind of high risk, high reward for her when she does swing at it.
Doesn't swing here, so a strikeout in the second inning on 5 pitches and a walk on 4 pitches in the 4th. Texas's first walk of the game.
Patel just wanting to be careful with her there, and Reese deciding to be patient and take that walk.
It's only the 38th walk in 38 games for Nyjah Kennedy, and Texas will bring in Adea Wallace, who is basically the designated Reese Atwood pitch runner. There are some words of wisdom from Reese to Katie Stewart.
Well, and that's something, taking the walk that Reese Atwood has been so much better at this year. 24 walks now for Reese. She only walked 3 times as a freshman last year.
Here's Stewart. She can really hit it hard. There's a building beyond the left field wall at McCombs Field in Austin where multiple windows have been broken by Katie Stewart. So if you're out there in the left field bleachers, just be prepared. You cannot get deep enough in the bleachers to be out of the Katie Stewart zone. Ball.
Saw Texas A&M last weekend try to work away from her because of that pull side power. Looks for that inner half, and she can crush the inner half. So A&M decided to work her away. Kennedy working her away here. Goes up and in after she went away.
Last year, Vivi Martinez had 52 RBIs as a Texas freshman. That was the record for all of 1 year. National Player of the Year, her first week of college, Katie Stewart. And she is way out in front on a changeup. Holy smokes.
My goodness. There's a changeup. We haven't seen a ton of her changeup tonight, but here it is. She told us, Nyjah Kennedy did, that she likes to throw a circle changeup. So she'll put her fingers in the form of a circle and lead with that circle to pop it out of her hand. It's Katie Stewart way out in front of that pitch.
Fourth strikeout. Jolie Mitchell, to her surprise, bunted it in fair territory. And the pinch runner Wallace goes to second. Stanford collects the second out.
Texas has done a nice job of getting the top half of the ball when it comes to putting a bunt down. That's 3 now. That rise ball is tough to handle when trying to bunt it. Great barrel control tonight.
Here's Caden Henry. For all the home runs Texas hits, their offense is a lot more than that. They are a multi-dimensional team. Came into the game with 68 infield singles, 15th in the nation. 41 bunt singles, 5th in the nation. Nyjah Kennedy with a quick visit over to the Stanford dugout. On the ground to second by Henry. Curran shovels quickly. A 2-0 lead for Texas after a scoreless fourth by Kennedy. 4 seeds nationally will meet. We know Alabama and Duke will face off in an elimination game tomorrow. We know UCLA and Oklahoma will get a day of rest and then meet in the winners bracket Saturday afternoon on ABC. Winners of this game and the next game move to Saturday night. You want to win game 1. 90% of the World Series champions have won game 1, 36 out of 40. Now, we have seen 2 recent occasions of teams losing day 1 and then rallying to win the whole thing. 3 years ago, Oklahoma, and 6 years ago, Florida State. So it's only happened 4 times, but it's happened twice in the last 5 World Series. 7-8-9 for Stanford against Tegan Cavan. And up and in, ball 3 to River Mailer. Jessica Allister told Alyssa she liked the at-bats she saw from her team the first 3 innings. Trying to find a spark here with the bottom of the lineup. 9 outs to go for the Cardinal hitters. Ball. That's ball 4 and a leadoff walk as Miller shouts into her dugout. River Mailer's the first Stanford leadoff runner to reach.
So great at bat there by Mailer to take some close pitches, but learn from her first AB and what the other hitters are seeing.
And now Emily Jones, as one sophomore passes the bat to another. Jones was an infielder last year. And with the graduation of Taylor Gindelsberger, took over the full-time center field job. Tournament numbers are tough, but the season numbers are terrific. And after ball one to her, Patty Ruth Taylor takes the circle for Texas.
Well, guys, we talked about Stanford needing to get some offense going. Emily Jones here at bat. She was telling us yesterday that in the fall, when they're facing Nyjah Kennedy and they're going through practices with her, that really instills confidence in the entire lineup as hitters. She said it makes you feel like you can hit anything if you can get anything off of Nyjah. So you have to imagine in a situation like this one, facing the talented freshman in the circle for Texas, that confidence could come into play here.
Well, especially, Alyssa, against a pitcher like Tegan Caban, who also throws more up in the zone, like her teammate Nyjah Kennedy. A little bit different, but still is great preparation to see Nyjah Kennedy, her rise ball at 72 up at your eyes, and then go against Caban's rise ball that's a little bit more spinny than Nyjah's, but still the same approach. You see the ball down, getting the top half of the ball.
Caban's 70th pitch. Fouled away. Emily Jones was one of the Stanford players to tell us about Jessica Allister and her many sayings. I'll paraphrase one they hear all the time. Timid stinks. Careful stinks. Be the aggressor. They started to do that in the fall. They've carried it all the way through this difficult postseason run, winning 3 elimination games. Jones hangs back and fouls away a 1-2.
And it was Emily Jones who told us, too, that she was ride or die Stanford. She went to a camp in 8th grade, and she knew she wanted to play for Stanford whenever she got to college. Now getting to do it, the Women's College World Series again.
A leadoff walk for River Mailer, the Stanford 5th. And Jones takes strike 3. Another knee knuckler of a changeup from Caban.
And it's so deceptive that they're taking this pitch a lot. It's just freezing them. Look at the location of this pitch. It paints the outside corner right at the knees. Reese Atwood gets low to get under that pitch and help get it a strike. It's a big strikeout for Caban.
Strike 1 now to Caitlin Lim.
Now batting right fielder number 21, Caitlin Lim.
Ever since ever since Tegan Caban threw that super regional ending changeup to Amari Harper, it feels like that pitch has leveled up. 3 of her 5 strikeouts tonight on the changeup. It's a pitch she doesn't even throw 1/5 of the time. Ball.
And it's what makes her so tough with 2 strikes, too, because you want to be more aggressive early in the count because hitters are hitting 0.87 off of her with 2 strikes. It's actually an even better average of 2 strikes than Nyjah Kennedy.
When you say it's an even better fill in the blank than Nyjah Kennedy, eyeballs bulge all across America.
Not by much. Kennedy is 0.90 with 2 strikes, and Caban is 0.87.
Anytime you're even in the same zip code as that young woman, you're doing something special. Fouled away, still 1-2 for Caitlin Lim. Welcome. Outside of that 3rd inning, Kennedy has twirled another terrific outing. 3 hitless innings if you take away the 3rd, but Texas got to her with 2 runs on 4 hits in that inning, and the Longhorns have both of the runs in this opening round game. 1-2 for Lim. On the ground left side, this will be Scott, the 3rd baseman, getting the lead runner Mailer at second or not. Well, hang on a minute now. The Texas dugout gate swings open as Mike White emerges, maybe to use another challenge. And was Washington on the base here with possession of the ball?
I'm so interested to see how this played out when we get another look in the replay at second base, whether River Mailer, who has great speed, by the way, read that ball right off the bat, got a good jump, and Mia Scott kind of took her time. You can tell doesn't have a great grip on it. Oh, and an unusual way that Alyssa Washington had possession of the ball, where it hits off of her glove and then gets stuck in between her forearm and her body. Interesting.
It's still possession at the end there. The question is it possession beforehand? Mike White's not calling for a challenge yet. The umpires are getting together. Cameron Ellis is going to give Mike White an explanation before our final decision. Our rules analyst, Christy Cornwell, is standing by. Christy, what do you see there?
Yeah, so what the umpires have to decide is whether or not she had control of the ball in her hand or her glove. Simply trapping the ball against her body does not count as possession to make the out.
All right, Christy, thank you for clarifying that. So by that standard, it's the right call on the field by Cameron Ellison. And Stanford gets a heck of a gift here. 2 on, 1 out for their leadoff hitter and an All-American from a season ago, Taryn Kern. And Kern with her typical first pitch take. This time it's inside. Bevo's not looking so stressed on the head right there. Strikeout and a long flyout for Kern, who can turn this game around with one swing. Season ago hit 22 home runs for Indiana. That was 3 fewer than the entire Stanford roster. This year she's hit 7.
It's a changeup there. Looking at her numbers and her batting average against the rise ball this year, just hitting 167. Taryn Kern is off of the rise.
Fielder's choice E4 put Mailer at second, Limit first with only 1 out. And Kern unloads on strike 2.
It's a good swing there. I like the way that she told us in the box, and I'd never heard anybody say this before, but in the box, she wants to create a hostile environment. Work the counts. She loves the challenge. She wants to see the pitcher's best pitches. Have even more preparation for her at bats later in the game after she's seen the pitcher once, twice already in the game.
Well, this is going to be the 15th pitch she's seen from Tegan Cavan. A go-ahead run at the plate with 1 out in the 5th. And Kern takes, or did she? Chad Steers says she broke the plane, and Cavan gets a strikeout.
There's been a quick trigger on the check swings down there, and that one looked like it was that she went more than maybe one of the ones that we've seen earlier in this game, but huge strikeout.
You think she went?
Oh, it's so questionable. I think she went more than the other one.
Now batting left field, number 8, Kira Chen.
For what it's worth, our rules analyst Christie says good call. Broke the plane, strike 3. So 2 Ks in the inning for Cavan. And it's Kira Chan with the inning in her hands in a 2-0 count. Oh for 3 tonight, runners in scoring position for the Cardinal. They still only have 1 hit. That was Ava Gall's single on the 3rd at-bat of the game. You get yourself a funnel cake, which looks downright delicious right about now. A beautiful scene here at Devon Park, home of the World Series. Since it opened in 1987. 2-0 pitch. This is the 42nd Women's College World Series, most of which have been right here, now known as OGE Field at Devon Park. There are a couple of friendly faces in the Texas cheering section.
Little JC and Kat Osterman.
Another star athlete in the making from the Des Moines area. We talked about Caitlin Clark a moment ago. Tegan Kavan from West Des Moines. Does know Caitlin a little bit. 3 years younger than the Iowa superstar. 2-2.
Looked like a good pitch to hit right there, right over the heart of the plate. That one to hit on that 2-0 count as well. Good swing by Chan, and now Kavan has 2 strikes again, where she really excels because of that changeup.
2 strikes, 2 outs. Chan slaps one out of play. With 2 outs, well, you give the 2 strike numbers. With 2 outs, batters are just 140 against Tegan Kavan. So 2 out, 2 strike. Basically a blue moon scenario to reach base against her in these moments. And Chan will ground one to second, and she will not reach base against her. Kat and JC enjoy it. The horns still hooking the Cardinal lineup.
It was the bottom of the 3rd inning when Texas scored their 2 runs because they made adjustments of getting the top half off of the ball off of Nyjah Kennedy, who likes to throw that rise ball. It was a bunt by Henry. Bella Dayton came up, got the top half of the ball, as well as Mia Scott. Dayton and Scott had RBIs in that inning, the top half of the order, but it was 7, 8, 9 getting them going in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
And that's just a ridiculous number. The 7, 8, and 9 hitters for Texas are 396. Texas leads the nation in batting average as a team at 379. So the batting average actually has gone up at the bottom of the order this year. 4 hits, a sac bunt in that inning for the Longhorns. The only 2 runs in this opener at the World Series between Texas and Stanford. Cardinal lost their opener to Oklahoma last year, won the next 2 before dropping a 9-inning heartbreaker to OU in the semis. 2-0 for Alyssa Washington here.
And sometimes winning games here, Kevin, isn't about the home run or the perfect game and no hitter. It's just about executing the game plan off of a pitcher like Nyjah Kennedy. And the bottom half of the order did that in the 3rd.
Washington flies out to left. She's 0 for 1 after that sacrifice bunt.
She's not getting a ton of swings and misses like she normally does. Texas has a good approach off of her tonight.
Now batting right fielder number 43.
Danny Hayes, a new left fielder for Stanford here in the bottom of the 5th, made that play. Here's Leanne Good, who's trying to call for time and finally gets it. Good came in defensively for Maloney last inning. Often plays second for Texas. Ball. Numbers are down this year, but Good had a terrific 2023. So fairly regular starter for the Longhorns. I've seen a lot of Tori Nyberg today.
I think that we've seen Nyjah Kennedy have the best stuff tonight, Kevin, and even looking at her velocity when she's feeling her best or her loosest, she's throwing 73, 74, 75, and a lot of 68 to 70 here tonight. Not nearly as many swings and misses as what she's used to. It's just a different pressure, too. Remember, this is the first time that she's pitched since being named National Player of the Year. A lot of expectations. I think any former National Player of the Year will tell you that. I've talked to Danielle Laurie a lot about that. And she's also pitched a lot in the postseason. There's Danielle.
Whoa.
And Madison Shipman and Pam Ward.
Danielle, you're on camera. Don't sweat it. We'll see you in a half inning. Good into right. Lim makes a play in fair territory.
But she's pitched 80% of the innings in the NCAA tournament coming into this game. And last year was just over 50% when she had Elena Vaughter. She had thrown almost as many pitches in the entire postseason last year as she had coming into the World Series this year.
Two down. Here's Bella Dayton. Eighth NCAA tournament game for Stanford. And Izuri Kennedy's now started 7 of those 8. Struggled to start the Super Regional 2, gave up a career-high 5 earned runs in Game 1 against LSU. Dayton into center field. Jones started in, drifts back. Maybe not her best stuff, but still 5 good innings against the second highest scoring team in the country. But right now, Kennedy has been bested by the fabulous freshman Tegan Cavan. 6 outs away from a Game 1 win for Texas.
Day 1 on the Women's College World Series. Texas leading Stanford now 2-0 as we head to the 6th inning. Pam Ward along with Danielle Lowry and Madison Shipman, and Stanford just 1 hit so far.
Well, and the way that I look at it, Stanford's got to get it together. With them throwing Izuri Kennedy 3 games in that Super Regional, they cannot come through the loser's bracket. They'll be in tough.
For as much as we talked about Texas's offense and the way that they smacked the ball out of the park all over the place, it's been the small ball. We just heard Amanda talking about it. The 7, 8, 9 batters just finding a way to put the ball in play and get some runs off an Izuri Kennedy.
And all those hits coming in that 1 inning where they scored the 2 runs. Let's get it back up to Kevin.
All right, we'll see you all after the game. Danielle, Maddie, Pam, thank you. Yeah, there have been just 5 hits combined in the game. Stanford's 1 was from this batter, Ava Gall, in the first. Texas's 4 were all in the third. Stanford 1 home run shy of what would be the 2nd most in school history. Texas, the most home runs in school history. So naturally, we've had 5 singles. Waiting for fireworks potentially. There have been sparks flying in the circle, though, out of Tegan Cavan's right arm. The freshman drawing the opening assignment at the World Series for Texas. The only hit from Gall was on a 2-strike pitch, an 0-2 pitch in the first. Since then, Cavan has walked 3. No other Cardinal has reached base safely. 0 for 14. With 3 walks, 4 strikeouts since that base hit.
That changeup that she has thrown a lot, but got to rely on her rise ball. I mean, it might look tricky, like some of these lower pitches could be a screw or a curve, but it's her rise ball that she relies on close to 80% of the time. And she'll mix in that changeup that makes things even more tricky to hit against her and able to change speeds. Coach White told us earlier this year when recruiting Tegan Cavan, she was my mission 1. Saw her at a camp and asked her about her changeup, actually, an off speed, and gave her a grip to work on there at that camp. So that's where they first started to work together and form a relationship.
That one gets over the glove of Cavan. Washington sucks it up at second and retires Gall.
And she started out this game with a strikeout to Taryn Kern and settled in immediately, being able to go to her rise ball, her changeup a few times. A lot of Stanford's hitters are taking that changeup, but you can tell she has so much spin and movement, and her ability to use that changeup has been so deceptive to them. Just have not been able to figure her out, only giving up 1 hit to the 6 strikeouts.
Taking a good vibes from the end of that Super Regional into the World Series today. Ball 1 to Ali Kaneshiro, and it's a very equitable out distribution. 1 more ground at it, it'd really be a devilish night for Cavan.
Well, I like the point that Danielle made when we had the studio hit of what's the journey like if Stanford or Texas gets into the losers bracket and go into an elimination game? Well, for Texas, they have a deep pitching staff. They have 5 different arms that they can go to that have experience and are very talented. For Stanford, a bit of a more smaller pitching staff that hasn't been as reliable behind Nyjah Kennedy. Reagan Krause has had a great year, has had a lot of wins and pitched a lot of innings, but there is just a difference with that Texas pitching staff being so deep compared to Stanford.
There's one of them, Matt Morgan, up in the bullpen here in the 6th. Morgan threw the most innings of any Texas player in the Super Regionals. Kavan has thrown the most innings of any Texas player this year. Citlali Gutierrez has the best ERA. Then there's Estelle Check and Sophia Simpson, who had huge moments on the World Series finalist team 2 years ago.
And the way that they're built is Kavan Wax Kaneshiro there is for depth, and they each have their own strength. For Kavan, it's her rise ball and that changeup. For Mac Morgan, it's her drop ball. Estelle Check can come in relief and is very comfortable in that role from the left-hand side. So they each have their own strength that they own. And I think that's why it was so surprising, Kevin, last weekend in the Super Regional, that there were so many runs that were scored because of the depth and different looks that the Texas pitching staff has.
So Kalen Cote represents a tying run with 1 on, 1 out. Coming off of the highest scoring Super Regional ever, 39 runs between Texas and Texas A&M. The final aggregate total was 20-19 Longhorns. Kavan's 100th pitch is too tall for Cote, who does have some power. 6 home runs on the year, 11 doubles is tied for the team high. A third-year starter who was off to a great power year last season before suffering a torn ACL 30 games into the year. Cote pops it up. Washington's there for out number 2.
Well, and Kevin, we had a chance to talk to Tegan Kavan's teammates about hitting off of her and what it's like. And I like the way that Alyssa Washington described it. She's like, knowing that a changeup might come makes it tricky because you can't just go in and say, all right, I'm going to stay on top of it, because then the changeup comes in and pops in lower in the zone. But also they described that what they said, sneaky movement. You don't really realize how much it breaks and how late it breaks.
That ball sneaks away from Atwood. That should be the second pass ball against Reese Atwood in the game as Kaneshiro takes second.
Looked like she just took her eye off of it, had her glove on it, but just spins out of it.
Well, Reese Atwood only had 1 pass ball on the season. Going into Game 3 of Super Regionals, she has 3 in the 2 games since. She'll go chat with Tegan Kavan.
And Reese Atwood is a catcher who has formed a really close relationship with all the pitchers on staff. Talk about her as a hitter, but what she's able to do defensively with all the different looks on the staff, sometimes throwing 3 or 4 different pitchers in a game, that is tough for a catcher. Reese Atwood defensively does a nice job back behind the plate and handles a lot of different personalities and looks.
Ball.
Amanda, you were just talking about Atwood as a defender. She wasn't even necessarily going to be a catcher if it was left up to her. She said when she was in 10U, they put everyone in a line. Whoever threw the hardest, well, they were the catcher. That just happened to be her. It said it took her a little bit to fall in love with it. She wanted to be a pitcher, but she never played another position after that.
She's a taller kid, too, and she said posture behind the plate was a little tough for her to figure out. She was catching on a travel ball team. Victoria Valdez was the catcher. So Victoria was really short, low to the ground, and got under drop ball pitchers. Reese said, I would struggle jamming my thumb trying to get to the ground. Coach just kept telling her, get lower, get lower. Woo! Nice changeup by Kavan. We saw a 3-0 swing from Berry trying to generate some offense. Now 3-2 as the Texas fans will get behind their starting pitcher. A freshman Berry, the tying run with 2 down in the 6th. And Berry gets a piece of that off-speed pitch.
There's not been much contact at all with that changeup. They have been taking it a lot, so I'd say a sign of an adjustment there for Berry with 2 strikes to foul off that pitch and get to this next one.
Berry takes strike 3. Cavan escapes another jam, and Texas still leads by 2.
The NCAA Women's College World Series is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Texas Longhorns back on the World Series stage after missing out last year, and they've allowed a single hit. Tegan Cavan has been magnificent. 2 runs, 4 hits, all in the 3rd inning off the National Player of the Year, Nigeri Kennedy. It's Texas 2, Stanford nothing. Game 3 of 4, our opening day quadruple header here in Oklahoma City. Still to come, maybe the matchup of the day. Oklahoma State and Florida, the 4 and the 5 seeds, meeting for the 3rd time in the World Series. Genuinely feel like 2 teams that could make it to the championship series, and it wouldn't be a surprise, and they're meeting on Thursday nights. Kenny Gajewski and Tim Walton, former national champion teammates in college, playing for Oklahoma baseball. Same coaching staff at Florida, won national championship there, and those 2 very good friends will try to put a dent in the other one. That game's going to come up around 30 minutes or so after the conclusion of this.
Oklahoma State can hit the ball. My goodness. Should be a good matchup of a couple of strong offenses. Looking forward to that.
Ball. Meanwhile, Nigeri Kennedy, not her usual uber high velocity, not her usual swing and miss stuff, not her usual level of energy maybe, and yet 5 innings, 2 runs against Texas. That is objectively a win pretty much any day. The 2nd highest scoring team in the country behind Miami of Ohio. Ball. "37 appearances entering today, 25 starts. It's only the 5th time she's allowed 2 earned runs. That's just silly."
It really is.
Ball.
You look at the numbers that she's had in her career. We saw her breakout at the World Series last year when facing Oklahoma and getting big swings and misses there and battling against the best offense in the country, and she's done it all throughout this year as well.
A Scott RBI single in the 3rd, and Scott gets a piece here. Talked to Mia yesterday. We asked her about facing Nigeri Kennedy first time this year, and she said, actually, I felt like I got some pretty good looks at her. She was 1 for 2. She walked. And she's got one of the 2 RBI hits tonight. Very confident. And Scott with a confident take of a 3-2 changeup. Leadoff runners on for Texas. The Longhorns' 2nd walk.
Well, and Coach White put together a really challenging schedule for this team to try to prepare them for the end of the year, and hoping that at the end of the year that there's nothing that we haven't seen. A really tough schedule in February and March.
Ball. Once again, Tori Nyberg after a first pitch ball. I think that's 3 times after a first pitch ball she's come out. Only 9 out of 21 first pitch strikes for Nyjah.
To me, she just doesn't quite have the same energy, and only she really knows how she feels and what's behind that. Maybe she's thinking, I don't know what you're talking about, Amanda. I have the best energy I've ever had out here at the World Series. I don't know, but to me, who's watched her pitch a lot, just something seemed a little bit off.
Popped up by Martinez, and Berry comes in from 3rd to retire her. So Reese Atwood and Nigel Kennedy for a third time. First at bat, Kennedy struck her out on a 2-2 rise ball. Second at bat, Kennedy walked her on 4 pitches. The Player of the Year finalists. And on the third at bat, Atwood lines to third. A first pitch swing, and Jade Berry collects the second out.
Now batting first base, number 20.
So Atwood now 1 for 6 with a walk and a home run. 3 strikeouts against Kennedy this year. Ball. Stanford's going to have its 7, 8, and 9 hitters coming up. Mailer, Jones, and Lim. Anybody gets on, former All-American Taryn Kern. Remember, Texas sprung to life late time and again in the Super Regional against Texas A&M. Their at-bats seemed to grow in confidence as the game went on. Stewart thought she had ball 4. First 5 innings of the Super Regionals, 4 runs. 6th inning or later, 16. In the 6th inning alone, Texas scored 12 in the 3 games against A&M. And they got 2 runners on here. Walks to Scott, and Stewart set up the senior Mitchell.
At play for Texas, number 9, Jolie Mitchell.
The way Tegan Cavan is pitching, 2 runs seems hard to tackle. Ball. A third, maybe more, might feel insurmountable for the Cardinal. Mitchell a strikeout, a sacrifice bunt.
Falling behind here after 2 walks in this inning. First time through the order, she had 3 strikeouts against Texas. Second time through the order, just 1. No strikeouts yet the 3rd time through.
Kennedy still stuck on 3 swings and misses in the game. Ball. And he's not chasing.
And they look very prepared for that rise ball, and I think a bit of a lack of command with her rise ball at times too, not throwing her changeup a ton in this game.
Her season low swings and misses was 3, game 1 against LSU. That was a game she gave up 5. She's still only allowed 2. 3-2 for Mitchell. Scott and Stewart get a head start here. 3-2, 2 out, 2 on. 2-0 Texas. And Mitchell takes ball 4. A 3rd walk in the inning. And the Longhorns load him up. Mike White's going to bring over Caden Henry. Have a pre-at-bat chat here for the freshman center fielder. Just not that same level of command for Najee Kennedy, not that same joie de vivre we typically see in the circle. But she can still get through 6 innings with a very good result against Texas, despite battling all of that. Henry had a bunt base hit in the 3rd inning, one of the fastest players here at the World Series. And she'll swing away and shoot one through the right side for a base hit, which is booted by Lem. That means a 2nd run scores. Scott is home. Stewart crosses on the error, and Texas doubles its lead, courtesy of the freshman, Caden Henry.
Caden Henry coming through in the 7 spot. She likes to swing at the first pitch 39% of the time. She's actually the most aggressive hitter on the team, so no surprise that she gets a pitch over the heart of the plate and she attacks it. That bobble out in right field is going to cost Stanford another run, and now Texas is up by 4. Caden Henry has had quite the game. She hit that ball hard. That is a high exit velocity off of her bat.
Just her 2nd hit with the bases loaded this season. Caden Henry with her team-leading 26 multi-hit game, and Texas has just about broken it open now. And the Longhorns will send up their fearsome freshman pitch hitter, Victoria Hunter. What do we tell you? Just more 6th inning magic from the Longhorns, who have now scored 14 runs in the 6th inning in the last 4 games. Hunter drove in 4 of them, game 1 against A&M with a pinch hit grand slam, and there are the 4th and 5th swings and misses induced by Kennedy back to back.
And props to Texas for the at-bats that they have put together in this inning and all throughout this game. They have not made it easy on Najee Kennedy at all.
Strike 3 to Hunter. The inning ends. Texas gets 2 more and a Caden Henry hit. Last chance to dance for the Cardinal coming up. Game 3 of 4, our quadruple header today. Better seeded teams have won the first 2 games. UCLA over Alabama on a Jordan Woolery tie-breaking home run in the 6th. Oklahoma scored the final 9 to run rule Duke. Those teams meet in the winners bracket Saturday. Bama and Duke trying not to be 2-Q tomorrow night. And the winner of this game will play Saturday against the winner of Oklahoma State, Florida coming up next. Another tough offensive night for the Cardinal. 13th World Series game, 2 or fewer runs, 10 of the 12. Amazing thing, they're 6-6, which tells you how good their pitching has been despite the lack of offense. They won 2 games last year, both shutout wins. And Stanford opened the World Series last year getting shut out by Oklahoma 2-0. They would win the next 2 before falling to OU in 9 innings in the semis. River Mailer fouls one away, and tonight the Cardinal had a hit from Avigall, 3rd batter of the game. They're 0 for 17 with 4 walks since then against Tegan Cavan. They're 0 for 13 in 2 strike counts since then. Cavan has been attacking early, attacking late, and dominating this lineup.
Well, and props to Texas for a fast start in this game to be able to score first. In the Super Regional, they were constantly playing from behind. They lost game 1. And then even going back to the regional, Coach White talked to us about not liking the intensity of which they played in their first game to open up the NCAA tournament. So the start that Tegan Cavan has had, of if she's been feeling nervous in this game, not being really able to tell, settled in very quickly. has been able to locate her rise ball and throw her changeup whenever she's needed to.
Mailer down the line and left. Bella Dayton sprinting into foul territory. Puts her away. Tegan told us that 7th inning of Game 3 was nerve-wracking against A&M, and then she talked to Kat Osterman after the game, and Kat said, soon it'll be 100 times this. Well, I guess Tegan got the message, because she has looked about as unfazed as any freshman could look in her World Series debut. A great Longhorn starter, Kat Osterman, no stranger to this stage. She has been a huge mentor to Tegan Cavan, who told us that Kat is always open to talking to me about anything. Preseason talked a lot about not putting pressure on the outings, not about striking out X number of batters. Just be realistic. Go win games. One for Emily Jones.
And she's been so good that Stanford hasn't even gotten a runner to third base against her, and unable to even execute or advance runners against her when they have had runners on due to the walks.
Another strikeout on a changeup. Cavan punches out her 8th.
Can you believe that she didn't even have this pitch before she got to college? And now she just throws it so deceptively. We talk about her rise ball, but that changeup literally has looked unhittable in this game because Stanford has just not been able to recognize it.
Struck out a career high in the regional final against Northwestern, Tegan Cavan. She punched out 12 in that game. She's got 8 tonight. Allie Clemens will pinch hit for Caitlin Lim as the Cardinals' last hope. Oklahoma State and Florida to follow. It looks like the winner of that game will get Texas. 1 out away from securing that. 1-1. Just an 0-2 rise ball left down the middle. Ava Gall's first inning single on that mistake pitch. One of the few mistakes you can pick out from Tegan tonight. Her mom, Teresa, was a college pitcher for Drake. She got her into pitching. Mike White really enhanced her pitch selection. Kat Osterman has been a mentor. A lot of folks feel like that young woman is a star pupil right now, and a star she is. 1 strike away from a shutout at the World Series. Clement stays alive. Stanford team that scored 8 runs against LSU its last time out, with a single solitary hit. Pitch number 122. Popped up again. Out of play again. Make for an interesting couple of days for Texas if the Longhorns secure this. An extra day of rest for their pitchers. You go back to Cavan or Morgan or Gutierrez. Endless options in the circle, it feels like. Tegan Cavan's put herself at the front of the line. A little ground ball nubbed foul, and Clements is making her work for that 21st out.
And that's why it always is such a tough decision with the Texas pitching staff, because they have so many different arms and looks that they can go to. They can throw it based off of the matchup. They can throw it maybe a Mac Morgan who has the bulldog mentality and loves to pitch in the big games, doesn't show as many nerves throughout the season.
On the ground is short. Martinez backs up, Spears throws, and ends it for Texas. Tegan Cavan twirls a one-hit shutout in her World Series debut.
She should have a smile after the complete game. First freshman to throw a complete game shutout in the World Series in Texas history. Wow, what a stat about the outing that Tegan Cavan had here today. Especially coming off of the Super Regional where they gave up so many runs. They needed an outing like this from their pitching staff. And this really is what the Texas pitching staff has been capable of this year.
Our Capital One rewarding performance is, of course, the freshman Tegan Cavan. Big 12 freshman of the year, gave up a hit to the third batter of the game and none after that, striking out 8. The changeup was the signature offering tonight as Cavan whirled and twirled her way through 7 of the best innings of her life. She is with Alyssa Lang.
Tegan, you just threw 7 innings in the Women's College World Series in a win, shutout style. What did you tell yourself coming into this game?
I just wanted to keep them off the board, let my offense work. I mean, we're facing a great pitcher like that. That's what I need to do. But just told myself to compete in every single pitch.
You told us that pitching in the Super Regional last week would give you some confidence coming into this one. How were you able to settle in? You didn't look nervous at all out there.
I think that definitely helped. Just the crowd and everything really helped me ease into this one.
You weren't the only freshman making big plays either. Caden Henry comes up and helps put this one out of reach for Stanford. What was it like watching that at bat? And where does this freshman class get the amount of confidence that y'all have?
Oh my gosh, we all rely on each other. That's my best friend. She's my roommate. Couldn't be happier for her. But I don't know. We just do it together and it works.
Congratulations on the win, Tegan.
Thank you. Welcome.
That's a pretty devastating battery in one room. Tegan Cavan and Reese Atwood meet early on game days, talk about the matchup. They feel good about what they did tonight. Texas is off to the winner's bracket, joining UCLA and Oklahoma. Now they'll await the winner of this game, and for Stanford, quick turnaround to tomorrow. Well, if a star wasn't born already, she certainly is under the Oklahoma City lights. Oklahoma State and Florida coming up. Game of the night, we'll see. For now, before we get to that one, Pam Moore, Madison Shipman, Danielle Laurie in the Women's College World Series studio.